Someone in that house made a move they thought no one would ever notice. Not loud, not obvious. Just quiet enough to feel safe. But the most dangerous person in the room had already seen everything and said nothing. She didn't argue, didn't react, didn't even blink. Because some people don't fight back, they wait.
Come back, everybody. And if you're new here, welcome. Before we get into it, please drop a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. Now, this is a story about a woman who had every reason to react, but she chose not to. Not because she was weak, not because she didn't know, but because she understood what most people never learn, that silence in the right hands is the most powerful weapon in the room. This is Priscilla's story.
The first time the bank called, Priscilla was surprised. She looked at the name on the account, heard the number they said was overdue, and felt the room turn cold around her. The loan officer kept talking, polite and firm, explaining missed payments on a luxury business loan opened in her name. But Priscilla had never asked for that money. She had never signed those papers. And the man laughing downstairs with a glass of whiskey in his hand was her husband. Priscilla Coleman had spent 12 years building a life that looked perfect from the outside. Their house stood on a quiet street in Westchester County, hidden behind iron gates and tall hedges that kept strangers out and secrets in. The marble floors shined like still water. The dining room was bigger than the apartment she had lived in when she first came to New York for graduate school. Their cars sat in a heated garage. Their pictures appeared in charity magazines. People spoke Charlie's name with respect. They called him sharp, charming, brilliant with money. What they did not say was that Charlie only looked brilliant because Priscilla kept cleaning up behind him. She met him at a fundraiser in Manhattan when she was 28, and still believed a polished smile meant a clean heart. Charlie had walked into that ballroom like he owned every table, every light, every person in the room. He was handsome in an expensive, effortless way. Tall, confident, with the kind of voice that made people stop and listen. He told stories well. He made everyone feel chosen. When he looked at Priscilla, he made her feel like she was the only woman in that crowded room. At the time, she was working in private wealth management, smart and steady, known for catching details other people missed. They would be a team. Charlie was already moving through real estate circles, flipping luxury properties, entertaining investors, always one step away from a bigger deal. He said he loved how calm she was. He said she made him feel grounded. He said, for a long time she believed him. When they got married, Charlie insisted that they build everything together. That was the word he liked, together. It sounded warm, safe, equal. He asked for her opinion on contracts, investments, even the kind of insurance coverage they should keep. He liked introducing her as his secret weapon. At dinners, he would place his hand on her back and say, "My wife sees what everybody else misses." It sounded like praise. Sometimes it even was. But somewhere around year 6, after the second house and the country club membership, and the stream of new business friends who laughed too loudly at Charlie's jokes, small things began to shift. He stopped asking. He started informing. He stopped saying together. He started saying mine, not all at once. Charlie was too clever for that. Men like him did not destroy peace in one loud moment. They did it slowly, like dripping water wearing down stone. A signature page placed under other papers. A rushed question asked while she was distracted. A joke that sounded harmless until it became a pattern. A new password he forgot to share. A transfer he explained too quickly. A business dinner that ended at 2 in the morning. Priscilla noticed. She always noticed. But she also knew how rich marriages worked in public. Women smiled through things. They learned which truths were expensive. They chose their battles carefully. And Priscilla was not weak. She was patient. There was a difference. Then Scarlet appeared. Scarlet was young enough to still believe beauty was power by itself. She had long red hair, perfect teeth, and the kind of confidence that came from never being told no for very long. Charlie met her through a luxury branding agency, while he was trying to position himself as the face of a new real estate development in Miami. At first, Scarlet was just another name in passing. Then she became perfume on his shirt. Then late-night messages lighting up his phone, then a laugh in the background of a call he claimed was with investors. Priscilla never confronted him the first time she knew for sure. That was not her style. She found the proof one Sunday afternoon when Charlie was in the shower, and his tablet, linked to his phone, lit up on the kitchen counter. Scarlet had sent a picture of herself in his guest suite in Miami, wearing one of Priscilla's silk robes. The caption was simple. "Wish you stayed longer." Priscilla looked at the screen, locked it, finished slicing the oranges for brunch. By the time Charlie came downstairs, she was sitting at the breakfast nook with tea and a financial journal open in front of her. He kissed her forehead like a man with nothing to hide. She smiled like a woman who had just started watching more carefully. From that day on, she stopped reacting where Charlie could see it. That confused him. He wanted sparks. He wanted suspicion. He wanted the sharp thrill of getting away with something in real time. Instead, he got still water. And still water can hide depth. Priscilla began checking what she was legally allowed to check. Shared accounts, property filings, tax records, credit alerts, corporate registrations. She did not snoop wildly. She moved with order, with care, with the cold discipline that had made her excellent at her job long before she married Charlie Coleman. What she found worried her. Charlie had been moving money in strange ways, not enough to attract immediate attention, but enough to leave a trail. Personal transfers labeled as consulting expenses, payments to small shell companies with glossy names and empty histories, hotel charges that had nothing to do with clients, gifts that were not modest, jewelry, weekend flights, private dining bills. Scarlet was expensive, but it was not just the affair. It was the hunger behind it. Charlie had started living like he needed applause every day. Bigger watches, louder dinners, new investors who liked risk because none of it was theirs. He wanted to look unstoppable. Men like that often borrowed from tomorrow to impress today. Priscilla knew this. That was why the call from the bank did not feel random. It felt like the final piece of something that had been building in the dark. The caller introduced herself as Denise from Harlow Private Bank. Her voice was trained, gentle, but not soft enough to hide the seriousness underneath. "Mrs. Coleman, I'm calling regarding the commercial credit facility opened under your name 3 months ago. We have now had 2 missed payments, and our office has been unable to secure clarification." Priscilla sat very still in her home office. "I'm sorry," she said. "What facility?" There was a pause on the line. Denise clearly thought she had heard wrong. "The luxury vehicle and bridge capital loan for Coleman Strategic Acquisitions. The primary borrower is listed as Priscilla Ann Coleman." Priscilla turned slowly toward her desk calendar. 3 months ago, she had been in Connecticut taking care of her aunt after surgery. "I did not open that loan," she said. Another pause. This one longer. Denise's tone changed. "Mrs. Coleman, are you saying this account may be unauthorized?" Priscilla stared out the window at the long driveway where Charlie's black Range Rover was parked. Her first instinct rose like heat. March downstairs, throw the phone at his chest, watch his face crack. But instinct was not strategy, so she asked for everything. Copies of the application, signature records, IP logs, supporting documents, payment method details. Denise said the fraud team would need a formal statement. Priscilla said she understood. Her voice remained level. By the time the call ended, the silence in the room felt alive. She sat there for 10 full minutes, not crying, not shaking, thinking. When Charlie came into the office that evening, he found her reviewing invoices at her desk. He leaned against the doorway, loosened his tie, smiled like a man performing ease. "You missed dinner," he said. "I ate earlier," he nodded. "Big day tomorrow, I may fly out." "Miami?" His eyes flicked to her face just once, fast, but she caught it. "Possibly." She gave a small nod and went back to the papers in front of her. "Safe trip." He stood there a second longer as if waiting for more. Then he walked away. That night, Priscilla did not sleep much. She lay still beside him, listening to the shallow confidence in his breathing. Some people slept well because their conscience was clear. Charlie slept well because he believed he was smarter than consequences. By morning, Priscilla had a plan. She would not warn him. She would not beg him. She would not save him from the sound of his own choices coming back. The documents arrived before noon. Charlie had forged more than her name. He had used her income records from older tax files, copied her digital signature from a legitimate estate planning update, and listed himself only as an operational contact, not the primary borrower. The loan was large enough to matter, large enough to hurt. The kind of amount that only passed quickly because their last reported assets were strong, and their social standing made people less suspicious. Priscilla printed every page and laid them out in order across the desk. Then she called her attorney. Not Charlie's corporate attorney, her own. Evelyn Hart had represented women in quiet wars for 23 years. She was silver-haired, sharp-eyed, and never impressed by charm. When Priscilla emailed the file, Evelyn called back in under 15 minutes. "Do not confront him yet," Evelyn said. Priscilla let out a slow breath. "I wasn't planning to." "Good. We document. We separate exposure. We protect your accounts. And we let the bank proceed through the proper channels." Priscilla looked down at Charlie's forged signature line beside hers. "He used my name." "Yes," Evelyn said, "and that was arrogance. Arrogance leaves fingerprints." For the next week, Priscilla moved through the house as if nothing had changed. She hosted a charity planning lunch on Thursday. She attended a gallery opening on Friday. She sat beside Charlie at a donor dinner on Saturday, while he charmed a room full of people who had no idea he had put a noose around his own neck and signed her name on the knot. Scarlet called twice during that dinner. Priscilla saw Charlie reject the calls under the table. He was under pressure now. She could sense it. The missed payments meant his cash flow was tightening. The bank would start pressing harder. The side deals he had counted on were likely slipping. Men like Charlie only looked elegant while the ceiling was intact. Once cracks appeared, the panic came fast. Priscilla stayed calm. She opened a new personal account at a different institution and moved her independent funds. She froze her credit. She changed passwords on every personal portal Charlie had ever been close enough to learn. She copied years of financial statements and stored them outside the house. She met Evelyn twice. She said little and listened carefully. Then came the second call from the bank. This time they wanted to speak to Charlie, not as a husband, not as a helpful contact, as the person who had been answering from the listed operational number, making excuses about delayed transfers and investor timing. Denise did not know the full truth yet, but the fraud review was narrowing. The tone had shifted from polite collection to formal inquiry. Priscilla thanked her and gave Charlie's direct number. That evening, Charlie came home angry, not worried. Angry. That told her everything. He walked into the kitchen with his jaw tight and his phone still in his hand. "Did you give Harlow my number?" Priscilla looked up from the soup she was stirring. "They called asking about a loan. Since I knew nothing about it, I thought they should speak to whoever did." His face changed in small stages. Shock first, then calculation, then offense, the favorite shield of guilty people. "What exactly are you implying?" She turned off the stove and faced him properly. "I'm not implying anything. I told them the truth." Charlie laughed once, dry and disbelieving. "This is business. You wouldn't understand the structure if you only heard one piece of it." "Then explain it." He took a step closer. "It was temporary, a bridge move. Paperwork needed your profile strength to clear quickly. I was going to fix it before it touched you." Priscilla held his gaze. "You forged my name." "No, I used our position." "Our." "Yes, ours. This house, this life, everything we have exists because I know how to move." "No," she said quietly. "Everything we have exists because I kept believing you should be trusted." He stared at her. For the first time in years, Charlie looked unsure of the room he was standing in. He lowered his voice. "Don't do this over paperwork." Priscilla almost smiled at that. Over paperwork. As if fraud was a clerical misunderstanding. As if betrayal became smaller, if spoken in a gentle tone. "What was the money for?" she asked. He hesitated a second too long. That was answer enough. Still, she let him talk. "A new deal, inventory, liquidity issues, short-term positioning." "And Scarlet?" His mouth shut. Silence filled the kitchen like smoke. So now they were there. Charlie looked away first. This has nothing to do with her. Priscilla nodded slowly. That means it does. He threw his phone onto the counter. You know what your problem is? You always need moral clarity. The real world doesn't work like that. People move things around. They take temporary risks. They solve problems. By stealing from their wife? By protecting the bigger picture. Priscilla stared at him until his own words began to sound stupid in the space between them. Then she said the one thing he did not expect. I'm not going to stop the bank. He frowned. What? I'm not going to clean this up. I'm not going to call and smooth your story. I'm not going to sign a correction or ask them to be patient. They can call you as much as they need. Charlie's expression hardened. Careful, Priscilla. She almost laughed. Careful. From a man standing ankle-deep in his own collapse. No, she said. You be careful. Then she picked up her bowl, walked past him, and left the kitchen. The next few days changed the air in the house. Charlie started taking calls outside. He stopped sleeping well. He snapped at staff over small things. He barked at the driver. He accused the house manager of misplacing documents that were sitting in his own briefcase. He drank more. Scarlet called more. Once, in the middle of the night, his phone buzzed across the nightstand, and Priscilla saw a message light up. You said she'd never know. Priscilla turned over and closed her eyes. On Monday morning, 2 more things happened. The bank sent formal notice of fraud review and payment demand, and Scarlet arrived at the house. Priscilla was in the sunroom reading through legal notes when the front door opened, with the confused hesitation of someone who had been invited but was suddenly unsure. Their house manager appeared at the doorway, uneasy. Mrs. Coleman, she said softly. There is a Miss Scarlet Reeves here asking for Mr. Coleman. Priscilla set down her papers. Please show her in. Scarlet entered wearing designer sunglasses and a cream coat that cost too much for someone who claimed to do brand consulting full-time. Up close, she looked younger than Priscilla expected. Not foolish exactly, just untested, like someone who had mistaken being chosen for being valued. When Scarlet saw Priscilla alone, she paused. I might have the wrong time, she said. Priscilla folded her hands in her lap. Charlie isn't here. Scarlet shifted. He told me he'd be home. I'm sure he says many things. For a second, the younger woman looked embarrassed, then defensive. I didn't come here for a fight. Neither did I. Scarlet kept standing. Then why am I in this room? Priscilla looked at her carefully. Because I think you should know the man funding your weekends has been using my name to do it. The color left Scarlet's face. That's not true. Priscilla reached to the side table, picked up one copy of the loan payment summary and held it out. Read the amount, then read the borrower. Scarlet did not move at first. Then she took the page. Her eyes scanned fast. Priscilla watched the moment denial broke. He said it was his line, Scarlet whispered. Priscilla said nothing. Scarlet swallowed hard. I didn't know. I believe that. Why are you showing me this? Because truth was more useful than revenge when placed in the right hands. Because panic spreads faster when everybody in the lie sees the floor moving. Because Priscilla wanted Charlie to feel the walls close from every direction. But what she said was, because women should know when they are standing on stolen ground. Scarlet stared at the paper again. Her voice dropped. He said he was separating from you. Priscilla met her eyes. Did he also tell you I was too cold to notice anything? Scarlet's silence answered. Priscilla nodded once. That sounds like Charlie. When Scarlet left, she did not take the paper with her. Her hands were shaking too much. That evening, Charlie came home to disaster already in motion. Scarlet had stopped answering him. His bank contact had escalated the file. Evelyn had filed the first protective legal steps, and one of Charlie's investors, hearing whispers of financial irregularity, had paused a pending deal. He stormed into the library where Priscilla was sitting with a glass of water and a notebook. What did you say to Scarlet? Priscilla did not look up right away. Enough. You had no right. She lifted her eyes to him slowly. No right? Charlie, You took a loan in my name and brought your mistress to my house. Let's not discuss rights." His face was flushed now. "You're trying to destroy me." "No," she said. "I'm refusing to rescue you." He paced once, the way he did when charm was no longer working and anger had not yet found a useful shape. "You think you can walk away clean? If this becomes public, it touches you too." Priscilla closed the notebook. "Only if I stay standing beside you." That landed. He stopped moving. For a moment, beneath the rage and vanity and panic, she saw something raw in him. Not remorse. Charlie was not built for that. Fear. The pure kind. The kind men feel when they finally understand that money cannot talk over evidence, and a woman they underestimated has stepped out of reach. "You would really do this," he said quietly. Priscilla stood. She was not taller than him, not louder, not more dramatic. But there are moments when a person becomes larger because truth is finally on their side. "You did this," she said. Then she walked to the door, paused beside him, and added, "The bank will call again tomorrow. I suggest you answer." Within 3 weeks, everything Charlie had balanced with lies began to fall. The fraud review became formal. His investor pulled out. Scarlet disappeared completely. The luxury vehicle tied to the loan was repossessed from a private garage in Miami. 2 board positions he had enjoyed for status quietly asked for his resignation. People who once loved his confidence started calling him reckless, then dishonest, then something worse. Priscilla did not need to ruin his name. She only had to stop holding it up. She moved into the guest wing while the legal process advanced. She spoke through attorneys when necessary. She attended no events with him. When people asked careful questions, she gave careful answers. She never performed pain for the public. She never explained more than she had to. But those who understood money understood enough. One afternoon, nearly a month after the first bank call, Charlie stood in the foyer as she prepared to leave for a temporary apartment in the city. He looked older already, not in years, in damage. "You waited," he said, almost like a man talking to himself. "You didn't even fight, you just waited." Priscilla adjusted her gloves and looked at him with the calm that had once drawn him to her, and now terrified him. "Yes," she said, "because accountability is a patient hunter." Then she stepped past him, out through the front doors, and into the clean, cold air, leaving Charlie in the house he had almost burned down, alone with the sound of consequences finally saying his name. In the months that followed, silence became the loudest thing in Charlie's life. Not the comfortable silence of a peaceful home, but the kind that echoes. The kind that reminds you of everything that used to be there. The house was still standing. The marble floors still shined. The gates still opened. But something had shifted in a way money could not fix. Priscilla did not return. Not after the first week. Not after the second. Not even when Charlie tried to reach her through people who used to admire him. At first, he thought it was temporary. He told himself she needed space. He told himself she would calm down. He told himself he could fix it once the pressure from the bank eased. But the pressure did not ease. It grew. The calls became letters. The letters became legal notices. And for the first time in his life, Charlie realized that confidence could not negotiate with facts. He tried to move money, too late. He tried to delay payments, too obvious. He tried to call in favors. But people who once admired him now kept their distance, because nobody wants to stand too close to a man being investigated. Scarlet never came back. She sent one final message, short and cold. "I didn't sign up to be part of someone else's mess." After that, she disappeared from his life as quickly as she had entered it. And that hurt Charlie more than he expected. Not because he loved her, but because she had been part of the image he built, the version of himself that looked powerful, desired, untouchable. Now that image was gone, and all that remained was the truth. Meanwhile, Priscilla moved forward quietly. She did not celebrate. She did not announce anything. She did not try to destroy Charlie publicly. She simply removed herself from everything that could tie her to his decisions. Her name, her finances, her future, all separated, clean and precise. Evelyn handled the legal process with the same calm efficiency. The fraud was documented. The liability was redirected. The protection was secured. Priscilla signed what needed to be signed, and nothing more. People who knew her began to understand something they had missed before. She had never been quiet because she was weak. She had been quiet because she was watching. And when she finally moved, she did not move with noise. She moved with certainty. One evening, months later, Priscilla sat alone in her new apartment overlooking the city. It was smaller than the house, simpler, but it felt honest. No hidden accounts, no lies tucked behind polished conversations, no pretending. Just peace. Her phone buzzed once on the table. A message from an unknown number. She looked at it for a moment before opening it. It was Charlie. Just one sentence. "You could have warned me." Priscilla read it once. Then she placed the phone back down without replying, because that was the final lesson Charlie still did not understand. A warning is given to someone who respects you. A rescue is given to someone who protects you. But accountability is not given. It is allowed. And Priscilla had simply stepped out of the way. She walked to the window and looked out at the city lights, calm and steady. Somewhere out there, people were still chasing appearances, still believing that control meant power, still thinking they could bend truth without consequence. She had learned something different. You don't always need to fight to win. You don't need to shout. You don't need revenge. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is nothing at all. Just step back and let the truth do what it always does. Find its way. And when it does, it never forgets who called its name.
Priscilla never raised her voice, she never chased him, and she never tried to fix what he broke. She just stepped back and let the truth find him. And when it did, it didn't miss. Tell me this, would you have stayed silent or would you have exposed him? Let me know in the comments section. And don't forget to follow, because the next story is already on the way.